Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Coffee and Conversations with Cheryl. I am Cheryl Mays. I am your host, and I am always excited to welcome you to the conversation, especially when we have so many dynamic guests that show up. So today, one of my faves, Dr. Emerald Mitchell, is here to chat with us about the organization that I love and is close to my heart, Moves and Grooves Incorporated. So I thank you for joining us. And always, these conversations are being held to engage the community and to share some information with those of you who may not have heard of a lot of different organizations, but mainly just to have those intentional conversations. So we welcome you and we thank you for joining us this morning. And without further ado, welcome Dr. Mitchell to the conversation. How are you this morning?
I am so excited this morning. Saturdays are just my favorite day of the week. You can kind of decompress from the long work week and really relax, spend time with family, and of course, have great conversations like this. So I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And she's really gorgeous, isn't she? I'm just saying, she's a friend of mine. So, and Dr. Mitchell, so let's just jump into this because like I said, I like to have these intentional conversations. So tell us about Moves and Grooves. What is Moves and Grooves? When did you start it? And I think some people might be surprised at how long Moves and Grooves has actually been in existence. So tell us about Moves and Grooves.
So Moves and Grooves is a nonprofit arts and education program. We work with Metro School students, K through 12th grade, providing arts education, enrichment, and mentoring after school. We have both a summer program, a workforce development program for our high school babies, and we've been around for almost 20 years. So crazy enough, I started Moves and Grooves as a freshman at Fisk University. I'm definitely a Fiskite, proud graduate of Fisk University. And the program stemmed from an entrepreneurial development course that I was taking at Fisk. Prior to that, the idea and concept came from an organization I was a part of back home called Self-Enhancement Incorporated. It was an amazing organization, a group of African-American men and women who would come back into that Portland community and really raised up the next generation of leaders. And I happened to be one of them. And so that organization transformed my life so much because, of course, I was an at-risk child. There was 5 of us, mother, single, and of course, she couldn't be there all the time. But this organization, Self-Enhancement, became my home away from home. And for me, it was transformational. So when I came to Nashville and attended Fisk University, I knew I had to do something. Those young babies at the time didn't have a place to go, didn't have anyone who truly cared. And I just said, I'm going to be proactive. These kids like to dance, come on and dance. But before you dance, let's get this homework done. And so
right.
Concept. So our classroom of 5 turned into 50 within a week. Now we reach over 250 youth inside Metro schools, and we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary in 2022. So it's crazy to think back. It's been so long, but a very, very exciting journey. So
and and I'll say this, my experience and working with you and working with Moves and Grooves. Let me just say this. Let me back up and share with our listeners how I actually ran across or discovered Moves and Grooves. And I will give all honors to one of my sweet friends who is no longer in Nashville. She's since left. She used to be on the Moves and Grooves board. And she said, Valinda, and she said, hey, Cheryl, I want you to come to a gala with me. And I was like, okay, what are we talking about? It's an art splash. And you'll have so much fun. And it's an organization that I'm working with. And so, come on, I've got you a ticket. Let's go. Here's your ticket. Okay. It was on a Friday night. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was excited because I was like, oh, arts. Okay, cool. So I get there and I'm sitting at the table with some really incredible people and just having conversations. And the next thing I know, there's a performance happening. And I'm like, what is going on? This is really cool.
Yes.
That was the year that you did. I think the theme was, it was the Wizard of Oz theme, I think, because I remember the one of the young ladies who did a solo dance. She danced in the ruby red slippers and she was dressed as Dorothy. It blew my mind. And I remember
I
coming to you.
remember.
I remember coming up to you after that and saying, I am so in for whatever you need. And I have been
Yes.
following Dr. Mitchell around since then, and I love Moves and Grooves for that reason. It was an amazing, amazing event. And so tell us a little bit about what Moves and Grooves is doing now, what the future plans are, and especially talk to us about the Art Splash.
Oh my goodness. So, of course, the summertime is approaching. Our current program is in person and virtual right now. And we're getting ready for the summer camp, which begins June 7th. So, we're excited about bringing the kids back. We've definitely got our social distancing and PPE equipment in place. But we are excited about our capital campaign in the future. Like I said, we are embarking on our 20th anniversary. And just like that Art Splash event that you attended with the Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home.
Right.
Moves and Grooves needs a permanent place for our babies. Like I said, we reach over 1,600 youth, partner with several, I believe about 6 Metro Nashville public schools at this time, and it continues to grow. But what we do not have is a permanent home. And so our 20th anniversary, our vision is to groundbreak Nashville's first youth arts center in Antioch.
Yes.
You hear that?
Yes.
In Antioch.
In Antioch. Yes.
I mean, Antioch is a place that I live. My children attend school here, just a vibrant, growing community. And our babies need something positive and designed just for them to do. And so Moves and Grooves, like I said, we are proactive. We listen to our families. We listen to our students and hear what they have to say. And this place is a dream, not only for me, but for them.
Yes.
And so we're excited to embark on that, and just want everyone to keep a lookout because we're going to need your support, the entire community. So great things ahead for Moves and Grooves.
And just so that everybody is aware, when is the tentative date for your campaign? What are you going to do? Give us a little bit of information because we want to make sure we get it out there.
Absolutely. So mark your calendars for June 8th. June 8th, we are hosting an empowerment luncheon at the Music City Center from 11:30 to 1. It's going to be dynamic. We've got an amazing speaker. It's Wanda Lyle, the former president of UBS, will be there to talk about the importance of arts, the importance of engaging our youth during those non-school hours. We're going to have lunch, performances, and just an amazingly great time. So Music City Center, June 8th, 11:30. Hope to see you there.
And I can tell you from my personal experience, you will not want to miss this opportunity to learn more about Moves and Grooves and see these amazing performances. And it's not the adults, it's the babies. You will see these babies in ways that you can only imagine. They are amazing. So thank you for sharing that. Now I want to talk a little bit about this. So in 2020, we have all had to make some adjustments. We haven't been able to engage as much as we normally have. And so for me, I call 2021 my year of the pivot because I've had to change so many things and I've learned a lot. I've learned what I can live with and most especially what I can't live without. So in 2020, because you are an in-person program and you are more of a hands-on program, how did Moves and Grooves and how did you have to pivot to make sure that you maintain that contact with your babies?
Absolutely. Just as I shared, Moves and Grooves, one of our amazingly great connections is with Metro schools, and we heavily rely on them for space, gaining access to our students. But due to the pandemic, it came to an extreme halt, actually. Right. So we definitely had to pivot with our families. We had to learn a whole new virtual platform. We definitely became more accustomed to Zoom as everyone else did.
Yes.
But one thing that we definitely tried to do is create that positive connection. So our staff, and I thank God for them, they were very innovative by making sure we saw our students. We delivered baskets to them, to their homes. We communicated with their parents just to see what they needed. Right. It didn't even have to be academic related. Maybe it was food, maybe it was other resources. So our team really came together to support families during this time, and we still do. So 2020 was definitely a challenge. It tested our patience. It also tested our creativity. Yes. And so a lot of great things also came out of it. We discovered TikTok. because moves and groups, one thing we love to do, we want to meet the kids where they are. They weren't coming in the school building anymore. They were barely outside, but you know where they were? On social media and
Right,
TikTok.
right.
So we decided to create an entire TikTok platform just to reach our students. We had some amazingly fun challenges, a dance challenge that reached over 6,000 views. It was amazing. And we even did a shirt contest. One thing that was alarming to me is when the pandemic first hit, there were so many changes. And a lot of the focus was on the adults. How the adults responded to losing jobs,
Right.
how they responded to tornadoes and different things that, their family was facing. However, we never asked the kids, how did this affect you? What changes are you going through?
Mhm.
And how can we help? So Moves and Grooves asked that question, and we did it through a t-shirt contest. Back in 2019, Moves and Grooves started a clothing brand called Magic. I'm actually wearing one of the designs right now.
And I love that. I love it.
Magic stands for Moves and Grooves in Clothing. And it basically is a way to give students a voice and a choice through art.
Mhm.
This is art that speaks. What is it that you want to say, but somewhat can't find the words to say, or maybe you don't have the listening ear?
Mhm.
You can act it out. You can design it. You can begin that conversation through art. And so that's what the Magic clothing brand does. It's led by our high school students and their dynamic. But through the challenge, we were able to do a contest on the social injustices that the students were facing.
Mhm.
What do you feel? How can we come together? And so that student contest lasted about a month. We
Mhm.
were able to reach about maybe 2,000 students, and we had a panel of judges to select the winner, and it was a crazy, crazy experience. So many great artists, teen artists that came into the contest, because there was not only a prize, but that design was used for our spring collection.
Wow.
And it was a young boy who won. He was actually out of Kentucky,
Really?
who won the design contest. It's actually on our website now at movesandgrooves.org, but it is amazing design. It encompasses a fist. It encompasses love, grace, empowerment, and just unity and equity. And that was so amazing for that message to be elevated by our teens and by our students. So there's been some challenges, but some definite benefits as well.
That is exciting for a lot of different reasons. So now you're going over. So here's one of my dear friends shared this phrase with me several months ago, and it is applied in almost every conversation that I've had. The pandemic pearls. The pandemic pearls are those positive things that have come out of this crazy time, and one of those has been being able to reach across a wider audience. This virtual space that we are in, even though it probably is not what we really want the contact, we need that social engagement, but it has provided an opportunity to reach individuals and reach places that we normally would not have been in. And when you said that one of your babies was in Kentucky, that's a pandemic pearl, because how would he have connected to you otherwise? You know what I'm saying? So I love that that you have got that reach that is getting wider. I also love that people can also purchase the t-shirts on your website at movesandgrooves.org. And
yes,
I will make sure to share that information. I will make sure that I share all of your social information and your website as well. It's already on the My Toolbox page, and we will make sure that we continue to share that. But so thank you for reaching out to the young people like that. So one of the things that has concerned me is that we have not been really considering our babies. We have not always thought about our babies and how this pandemic has affected them. And there are a lot of issues that we as adults have to deal with. But one of the things, and I've had this conversation with several different people, what does it look like for them coming out of being in a, basically on lockdown, for lack of a better term, for a year, and then being just introduced back into school settings without that, hey, let's talk about this, and this is what it's going to look like. And the reason I ask that is because you can't, it takes 30 days to to form a habit, to create a habit.
Yes.
When they've been at home for a year and they're used to being in their own space and they're used to, things have changed. I can just go to the fridge or, go outside or do whatever I want to do, relatively speaking, because I'm in my own home, but I'm still learning. The learning never stops.
Yes.
Now you're going back into the classroom and, a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? There's got to be some changes that our babies are dealing with going back and dealing and being around their peers, being around their teachers. How do they get back into that learning process? You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
I've been so concerned about that because I don't know if a lot of people are considering that adjustment period and what is happening with their minds. So Have you had any conversations with your young people?
I definitely have. A lot of them definitely feel anxiety. And I think the anxiety definitely comes from, what they see on social media, what they hear on the news. And they're definitely concerned. They're excited to get back with their friends and connect. But of course, it's always in the back of their mind about, potentially contracting the virus and such. There's definitely a lot of emotional trauma. Mental health is definitely, something that we need to consider, especially when we comes to our children. We hear about all the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences that these kids encounter. And so you couple that along with the pandemic.
Right.
It can definitely be overwhelming. So what I foresee is definitely a lot of support that's needed for our young people, a lot of, mental health counseling, a lot of opportunities for them to come together and simply express, what they're feeling to someone who cares and who can provide them support on how to cope with that.
Right.
Moves and Grooves did partner with a nonprofit called Awake. And what we did, we actually used our students to talk about those conversations. We came into a group setting. We had cool balloons, great candy, just to make sure they were comfortable. And we asked them, what are some of the stressors that you're having? What are some of the triggers that you're going through? And they actually wrote them on a balloon. It was so cool. So they wrote those things that challenged them on a balloon, and it was anything from life or Big Brother, or even your family, stresses. And what we did, they blew up the balloons, and the exercise was to juggle the balloons alone. And so their goal was to keep the balloons from dropping, but each balloon had a different stress that was connected to it. So the metaphor was, we can only juggle so much on our own.
Right.
But it's when we connect with other people, we bring support systems in to help us balance that. It seems it's able to attain. We're able to control. We're able to understand and cope when we have support. And so it was such a great exercise to have with our students. They got a chance to not only share what was on their mind, but also learn new resources and ways on how to express those things in a positive way. So definitely, we need to rally around our babies, grab one of them, simply take them out for coffee or lunch and just say, what is it that you need? Tell me, talk to me. Because I think sometimes those conversations, are missed. We talk about the value of family time and eating dinner together, simple things. A lot of these kids don't have that, at home. And so Moves and Grooves is an organization that helps fill that gap. We help to have those conversations with students and even with parents to help them build that connection, build that dialogue so that they can understand one another, because we know communication is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, and you hit on this, one of the things that, when I work with young people, let me just say this, working with young people is my absolute joy, because they are smart, they are innovative, they are fresh thinkers. If you give them an opportunity and ask them questions, they will amaze you with their level of intellect.
Yes.
They are just so amazing. And so I say all that to say that you hit on something that struck me, and I share this as much as I possibly can. Just listen.
Yes.
Just sit down, and sometimes it helps if you just don't talk and you're in the space, and that they know they feel that they are safe and comfortable and that they can be open with an adult. And so That's one of the things. And so for those of you who have never encountered a conversation with Dr. Mitchell, trust me when I tell you, she's one of those individuals that when you walk into a room and you're a young person, you're like, oh, she's okay. Yeah, she's my people. Yeah, I can talk to her. So I think sometimes that's all it takes is for our young people to, and you and I both call them our babies. So just to be in a room with them so that they feel comfortable enough sharing. But more than anything, when they start talking and when they start sharing, you really need to hear them, not just listen, but hear what they're saying. It could change everything for them. And so I say this to you, you have done an amazing job with your young people. And folks, 20 years next year, 20 years. I can't believe. And by the way, I mean, she looks like she's 20 herself, but okay.
Thank you.
So 20 years, that is amazing. And go ahead.
It's so crazy to even think back. I'm such a goal-focused, oriented person. I've learned to set goals at a young age and write them down, and keep continuously progressing and being a lifelong learner. And so, to look back and see how far we've come from just being a freshman new to Nashville, only having 5 students in the program and begging other, parents to drop off their kids, to now having a waiting list of students.
Wow.
It's definitely been an amazing experience. And I thank God for an amazing Nashville community who have always supported me. It was a very special person who invested very early on. When I was only 18 years old, her name was Denise McBride. I shout her out every time I can. At the time, she was over community development at SunTrust Bank. And once again, I was only, 18 years old, new to Nashville. I wanted to do a summer camp. Wrote 50 grants that year, didn't get any of them approved. So I was a little heartbroken, but I was still determined. So I spoke to my mentor. He's like, okay, Emerald, don't give up. He's like, one thing about nonprofits and building it, people don't fund programs, people fund people. You got to get out there, meet the people, show them your passion and what you're trying to do, and you'll get support. So thank God, a woman by the name of Denise McBride at SunTrust Bank took my call, took my meeting. I went in there with my little briefcase and my little suit, sat in front of her and just poured my heart out about why it was so important for a program to be in North Nashville. And she was gracious enough. She said, our budget is kind of extended for the year. We've already depleted our funds, but we do have $1,200. I said, I'll take it.
Right.
That $1,200 was like $1 million to me at that time. And we stretched that $1,200 for 6 weeks. We had about 15 students that very first summer on the campus of Fisk University, and it was the best summer ever. I got my friends involved. We didn't get paid a dime. We didn't get paid a dime. We didn't have enough money for that, but we had passion, we had determination, and we had a vision to really change the lives of these young people. So like I said, for us to look back at 20 years, it's definitely been a journey, but it's through the community support. People like Denise McBride, people like you, Cheryl, who serve on our board, our volunteers, our parents who allowed us to make this mark. And I'm just sincerely grateful for the support. So thank you.
And you are absolutely welcome. And I share with, I've been asked several times about joining various organizations or being part of a board for lots of different reasons, but I am extremely intentional on giving up my time. It has to speak to my heart. It has to speak to my soul. It has to speak to my passion. And that's everything that I'm telling you. That first time, it was your angel in the ruby red slippers that got my heart. And I was like, I don't know anything about moves and grooves, but from this day forward, I will be engaged in any way that I can. I absolutely love the program. And I've seen for myself the difference it makes in the lives of the young people that you serve. I've seen the difference that it makes in the adults that are connected with your organization. And so I would encourage anybody who has an interest in working with young people, supporting them, being a part of their education, being a part of their future, get involved with this program. It's going to be, you're going to see it continue to grow. I mean, we're coming up on 20 years at this point, but you're going to continue to see it grow for another 20 years. And you definitely want to be in this space right now. So give us those dates, give us the date again for the June meeting for the capital campaign building. Yes. We'll call it a building fund.
Yes, we are. So it's June 8th from 11:30 to 1 at Music City Center. Definitely an empowerment luncheon. We definitely love you to get involved, whether it's attending, purchasing a ticket, simply volunteering to help set up, help break down, help be a greeter. We definitely invite you to get involved with Moves and Grooves in some capacity.
Yeah, or even make a donation towards that effort. Go to the website, movesandgrooves.org, and volunteer, make a donation, get involved. And you know what? Once we're safe again, you'll be able to come out and see these kids and doing a performance. It's absolutely the best thing. It'll make your day. If you're having the worst day ever, this will make your day. Trust me on that one. Definitely. So, Dr. Mitchell, it has been my pleasure, my friend, to have you here today. You're my Shiro. I see the passion in your heart every single time that we have a conversation. You light up when you talk about your babies, and that makes me happy. That makes me want to continue to be involved and engage with anything that you're on board with. So there's a short list of individuals who can reach out to me, and I can say, you know, whatever. You don't even have to ask in advance. Just say, hey, I need you here, and I'm there. You're one of those people. Because I truly believe in your work. I truly believe in your heart and your passion, and I truly believe in Moves and Grooves. So
thank you, Cheryl.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for giving me this platform to speak. You have always been a huge support. There's some people who are able to talk the talk, but you talk the talk and walk it. And that speaks volumes about you as a person. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share more about Moves and Grooves. Great work you're doing here in the community and continue to do. You are my inspiration. So continue to create the path that I'll be following along behind you. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, my friend. And I love you sincerely. And you know, you've always got an open platform with me. So, but I'm telling you, get involved. We are going to be back on May 8th with our next broadcast. I'm always trying to get interesting guests, and I think the conversation will continue to grow. So check us out on May 8th right here, Facebook Live, Coffee and Conversations with Cheryl. But until then, we'll see you. Have a great day.